Welcome to the Beautifully Aligned podcast. My name is Lynn Ford, and I am a certified life coach. If you are looking to become more aligned in life, from your style to wellness to mindset to your relationships to success, then you have come to the right place. My goal for this podcast is to guide you in recognizing the boundless potential within you, empowering you to achieve anything that you aspire to be, do, or have. Thank you so much for being here today. Now, let's get into the show. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. So happy to have you here today. This episode is going to be really fun, I think. So I got this idea just based on a couple of previous episodes that I've done. You do not have to listen to them in order whatsoever. But last week, I discussed fulfillment and how to find fulfillment. And that ties directly to your core values. And maybe a month ago, I recorded a podcast about finding your purpose. And that one was really popular. And I even shared a download for you to help start finding your purpose if you don't know what that is for yourself, to start creating your purpose. And I gave like a calculation to do, like a personalized calculation and a bunch of information. I will actually link that in the show notes for this episode too, in case you want to grab it. But this episode encompasses kind of both that happiness, fulfillment. How can I find happiness and how can I find fulfillment? And also, how can I create my purpose with the very specific niche in creativity? If you're like, what the hell? I don't know how creativity relates to the cat is meowing at the rain happening outside. So I apologize if you can hear her meowing. Hello, literally hello at the rain. Okay. So anyway, if you're like, how in the world does creativity relate to those things? I will get there. But if you are a creative person or you want to be more creative, whatever end of the spectrum you are on, this episode is for you. And I do want to say that I work with my one-on-one clients who are all women. And a lot of the time I will hear, I do not have one artistic or creative bone in my body. There is no creativity. And then throughout our session, if we're talking about it, all of these creative things will come up that this person has done or dabbles in or engages in something super creative every single day, but they're not the quote unquote like typical ways that we think of creativity being, such as like painting watercolor or drawing pictures. A lot of us think of creativity in that sense, but there are endless ways to be creative. And I'm going to actually give you a list in this episode as well if you want ideas. And you can draw more ideas from there. You can think of ways you're already being creative. So I think it's going to be fun. Let's get into it. Okay, so I do want to start with this quote because it is so relevant, and it is from none other than Pablo Picasso. And the quote is, "Every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once she grows up." So if you remember back to when you were a little girl or a little boy, and you were imaginative and creative and maybe playing with your Play-Doh and creating figurines or drawing pictures or painting, or if you were like me and loved Barbie and you like to create outfits for her or like to rearrange your bedroom or Barbie's dream house, which I did all of the time. That was my favorite thing. I discussed that in a little more detail in last week's episode, so I won't be too repetitive here. But as kids, we are innately, or we were creative. It just comes naturally to kids. And then, very sadly, in my opinion, we grow out of childhood. And with that, this kind of like big picture thinking is just coaxed out of us. And whether it's life circumstances, many times it is our acquired values, which are those values imposed on us by our upbringing, our society, our parents, our teachers. With those shoulds, you should be pragmatic, and you should get a serious job and do this and do that. And that creativity is just sucked out of us. That sounds so dramatic, and it sounds so freaking sad, right? But it is really true that most of us have received either a direct or an indirect message that we needed to get serious, we needed to get pragmatic, we need to focus on academics, focus on getting that job. And therefore, we didn't have the time or the wherewithal or whatever to continue being creative in whatever it was you liked to do as a kid. Some clients that I've worked with actually have held on to those dreams, or used to hold on to a dream beyond childhood of doing something creative, whether that's painting, drawing, sewing, making handmade goods to sell, singing, acting. And they were encouraged to do these things as little girls. But then again, as time went on, their parents said, I have one client whose parents said, well, you need a backup plan. You need to establish this sort of degree so that in case XYZ creative outlet does not work out, you have something practical to lean on. And so that became something she was playing for herself in the back of her mind. And when we started working together, she said, I don't have a creative bone in my body, which again, it's so sad. So now let's kind of flip the script. I do want to say, in that situation, we have worked through that, and the creativity is just bursting from her, and it's so exciting and so beautiful to see. And she's actually making money from it. So if you're one of those people who is like, yes, I feel like I don't have any creativity, or you're wanting to spice it up, let's talk about reclaiming your creativity, because I know you had it as a kid. So thinking back to when you were a kid, and this is kind of the easiest way to start getting ideas, is to think about what you like to do as a little kid. And that's actually one of the questions that I ask my clients when we're talking about life purpose. And so that's where creativity and life purpose merge together. Creativity is a huge factor in discovering your passions, or dare I say, rediscovering your passions, finding out what makes you feel alive, what lights you up, what delights you, what helps you show up most authentically. Try asking yourself those questions, and I bet you some creative ideas will come up. And maybe your creative ideas aren't necessarily literally drawing a picture or painting a picture. Maybe they're more strategic, or puzzles, or professionally related, or solving problems. That is creative. So really try to open your mind and see what works for you. Try on what works for you. Try different things out. A lot of the time we are driven by fear. Like, how is this going to change something for me? Is this going to change my life in a negative way? Our brains try to keep us safe. And I know it might sound silly to be scared to try, say, painting a picture, but it can be scary to do because, I don't know, you think, I'm not going to have time for this new hobby, or I'm going to be horrible at it, or whatever it is. There's fear that comes along with it. So I encourage you to be open-minded, everyone's mind works differently. So it may require some experimenting to figure out the best way for you to relax and be open to your creativity and your creative energy. Maybe you want to journal, like start writing about it before you actually start doing XYZ creative outlet that you have been thinking about. Journal it out, talk about it. Try to stretch those mental muscles to get over that fear if there is fear there. Maybe you want to start meditating. That is an art form. Reading something inspiring to get your creative juices flowing. And when you do this, when you tap into your creativity, it not only connects you deeper to yourself, like your true essence, like who are you? What is your purpose? What is your essence? I talked about essence in another episode, and one of my essences is being nurturing. So I think about what ways can I be creative with that nurturing energy. So your creativity not only connects you to that essence and your true, like profound nature, but it also moves you into a more kind of intimate union with nature, the world around you, and engaging with nature. And I think that's so beautiful. So now I just want to give you some ideas of ways that are not quote unquote typical ways to be creative. Maybe you already do some of these things. If you do, think of ways you can expand on them if you already enjoy them. And if you haven't done any of these, I'm sure you have, but try it out and let me know what you think. So here's my lovely little list of ideas for you. So have you ever selected a piece of art for your house or a new decor piece or decorated for a holiday like Christmas, selected different colors of ornaments or decorations for your Christmas tree? I'm sure you have. Those things are all creative. As you can probably tell, I love all things home decor. So decorating the home is such a personal and creative outlet. And if you love doing that and you don't feel like you're creative enough, take it up a notch. Maybe try going thrifting and finding really unique pieces for your home and your style. It is so fun and so creative. That is one of my favorite activities to do. Kind of along those same lines is arranging a bouquet of flowers. I'm sure you've done this as well. Or you could do this with tree branches or eucalyptus or pieces out from nature that you put together to make a beautiful bouquet that you either gift or display in your home. And a little tip here, if you love florals, I highly recommend, if you want an affordable but really beautiful bouquet that's personalized in the colors you love and the florals you love, go to Trader Joe's. They have the most beautiful selection of flowers that are very affordable. That is my all-time favorite place to shop for florals. Another idea is putting together fabulous outfits. So whether it's getting ready for just your regular day with your kids, for work, or whatever it is, putting together a really fabulous outfit in your colors, in your style, mixing and matching different things that you feel you're best in, that is creative. Shopping for outfits, that is creative. Maybe you like to cook, and to take it up a notch with your creativity, you create a really fabulous meal and you mix and match different spices that maybe you haven't used. You select a different bottle of wine that maybe you haven't thought of before with your meal and presenting it beautifully. So maybe that means adding fresh herbs. That is something I personally like to do with salads. Not only does it make the salad really beautiful, but it tastes more like a restaurant quality salad, and it lets me be creative. So it's all of the best. Creativity, it tastes great, it looks great. So cooking is a big way to be creative, mixing and matching different flavors. So much fun. Maybe it is writing a handwritten note to a loved one or a birthday card to a loved one. And just thinking of a really lovely message from your heart to them, that is creative. Maybe it's baking a birthday cake for somebody in their favorite flavor with their favorite colors. Maybe it is refurbishing an old piece of furniture. I mentioned antiquing. That is so much fun. If you have not done it, I highly recommend it. So, refinish furniture if there's something that you're looking for your home in your style. That is creative. So, so unique. Hair and makeup is another big one. So maybe it's trying a new updo or styling your hair in a way that you haven't done in a long time, but you remember looks so beautiful on you. Or maybe it's with your daughter's hair and adding ribbons and barrettes, or on yourself, or choosing a new lipstick color that really suits you that you don't usually wear. All of those things are creative, and I hope it gave you some ideas maybe to add on to if you've already tried some of them, or maybe it gave you some new ideas. And doing these things and thinking of new ways to be creative and actually engaging in these activities engages the right hemisphere of your brain, which is the creative side of your brain. It is like the no judgment side. It is where you can just freely flow. There is no time, like time just disappears. There's no fear. There's no judgment when you're in that zone. And personally, I'm trying to open that up more, like be more free and open and engage the right side of my brain more. So I encourage you to do the same. I hope this was fun for you. I am going to leave you with a quote, another quote. I know I opened with a quote from Picasso, and I'm going to leave you with a quote from Elizabeth Gilbert, who is the author of Big Magic. And she says, a creative life is an amplified life. It's a bigger life, a happier life, an expanded life, and a hell of a lot more interesting life. Living in this manner, continually and stubbornly bringing forth the jewels that are hidden within you, is a fine art in and of itself. Is that not so beautiful and so true? So I would love to know if you liked this episode. If you did, please give it a 5-star rating on iTunes. That helps me out a lot. Share it with somebody who you think might like it. Send me a DM on Instagram if you liked it, and let me know if you try any of these things. I'd love to chat with you. So with that, I hope that you have a fabulous, creative rest of your week, and I will chat with you next week. Bye.